Hello, everyone. Cori Westbrook here, hanging out with Adam from Lorna freaking Shore. I'm super stoked to be here, chatting with you today on your sold out tour. Before we deep dive into the super important questions that I have for you today, I just want to know, how are you feeling right now? Because this has been a pretty legendary year for you guys.
Yeah. It's definitely it's been a busy year, but it's been awesome. The tour's been sick. The tour has been every day has been awesome. It's now like moving really quickly, so that shows like it's a good time, you know. So time flies when you're having fun. Really like proving its point right here. But yeah, it's been awesome. The tour package is great. The shows have been good. It's been a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And the lineup is downright irresponsible. And I'm excited to figure out how many bruises I leave here with, tonight.
Hopefully none.
Okay, so a little bit of a funny story. I actually got a bruise at the last show that I saw you guys at during your set that left kind of a permanent stain on my skin that I now carry with me for life, that's kind of in the shape of Florida. So
I mean, I think a lot of people walk around with the stain of Florida in a different way.
Exactly. So so I know you guys have been talking about the album and the tour just nonstop, so we're going to ask some slightly more important questions.
Perfect.
Yes. You mentioned during our last interview, which those of you who haven't read that interview, go to knotfest.com and read it. Yes, shameless plug right there. That particularly like the first song and quite a few songs on the album were inspired by video games.
Yeah.
What have you been playing while you're on the road?
Well, it's actually ironic. You can see right here. This is funny that we're back here now. I have my portable gaming setup.
That is excellent.
I've been playing a lot of Sekiro. Actually, that's what I've been doing a lot recently, is playing a lot of that. Only because of the fact that I don't need to download an update for it. I tried playing other games that I brought with me, and the Wi-Fi on the bus is not that great, so it was going to take like an eternity to download any update for anything. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to play Sekiro, and I've been doing that. Not as much as I thought I was going to, because like days are kind of long and we have a lot to do, but that's what I've been doing on the road. Yeah, Ironically enough, I found some time to play some video games, and it's been sick. So.
That's been pretty good. And I saw on your Instagram that you have not broken your controller.
No, I didn't.
So props to you there.
Yeah, there's so many times that I used to, like, when I first started playing like any From Software game, I played Bloodborne, and there's been many times where I was like, I'm gonna break my controller.
I know how you feel.
Yeah,
that one I just.
Yeah, and so that was like my first introduction to it. But I guess now that I've played a couple From Software games, I know how it kind of works. I know that the frustration, so I'm kind of like come to terms with it. So I'm like, I can't break a controller out here, because like, then what am I gonna do? so yeah, that's what I've been playing recently.
Yeah, that's great. And I think this kind of answers the next question, but I'm gonna ask anyway. PC or console?
Console for sure.
Okay, cool. We can stay friends.
Yeah.
I don't have to leave this bus right now.
No, I mean, I think whatever works for people. For me, it's that I look at a computer all day. You know, like when I'm home, I'm on a computer, I'm on a laptop, and like, so for me to unwind, the last thing I want to do is go to another computer. So I think it just kind of separates, you know, church and state or whatever. So yeah, I just always prefer console. It's easier. It's like a lot more like plug and play. I don't want to have to get a new game, have to adjust settings to play a game. I'd rather just like plug in a game, play it, and then be on my merry way. I mean, again, for people that like PC, totally, that's awesome. That's amazing. And there's some games that I can't play because it's on PC, but yeah, I'm all right. I console just way more easier for me. My life is complicated enough that I need something easy.
For sure.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about the album, you mentioned a lot of listening to a lot of like film scores and game scores and things like that while you were composing the album. What is your favorite score, either from a movie or a game? What do you think has the best score out there right now?
So one of my favorites that I listen to a lot is the Interstellar soundtrack.
Excellent.
So that's definitely something that I like a lot. That's one I always go back to. I do love the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. I mean, that it's amazing. There's so many like themes in that are really good. Another score that I got really into, which was after we did the record, was I did love the Batman film score.
That was excellent.
Yeah, the more
Which Batman though?
The more recent one, the one that Robert Pattinson was Batman.
I love that one.
Yeah, that was like one of my favorite Batman movies. I thought it was just cool because it was more so Batman than Bruce Wayne. So I kind of liked it. It felt a little more darker. So I definitely liked that film. And the score was really good. It was really like a simple theme that I think that's just why it was really interesting to hear a very simple motif carry its way through a score. But yeah, definitely Interstellar. A lot of Hans Zimmer stuff. Interstellar is one of my favorites. Again, Lord of the Rings is great.
I feel like Hans Zimmer's kind of underrated as far as the composers
really,
go.
I feel like he's like the modern day, like the composer. Every movie that's like a big blockbuster film that's out, probably 9 times out of 10, it's Hans
I
Zimmer.
just feel like he doesn't have the same like recognition right away as some of the others, like, you know, Danny Elfman, obviously, very signature sound.
I think also the scoring is different now.
It is.
So I think back then you had these notable motifs, whereas now it's more about painting the ambience and like the landscape versus here is like the Star Wars theme. Here is like Indiana Jones. You know, there's not these like notable motifs, and I think movies are not really doing that. It's more so about just, I think, the soundscape, the aesthetic, and there is themes, there is, you know, melodies, but it's delivered differently than, say, in a traditional like movie score. At least it's how I see it and how I interpret what's kind of going on currently versus back then. But I mean, Hans Zimmer did the Pirates of the Caribbean, like, and it has like, yeah, it's an iconic theme, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I love a lot of his works. He's definitely you know, done a lot of big films that I enjoy, and the score goes along with it. And outside of that, I mean, video games. I mean, me and Andrew love the Bloodborne soundtrack because it kind of fits the vibe of the band. It has this like darker Victorian kind of like, you know, soundscape to it. A lot of the Dark Souls kind of, or From Software rather, scores are kind of fit the aesthetic of the band. So like, you know, I do like hearing it. I do like, but I wouldn't say I listen to it as much as I say like movies. I don't really get as into it, but I do like hearing the scores just from like an appreciation. But I wouldn't go back and keep listening to like the Cleric Beast score versus like, say, like Breaking of the Fellowship from Lord of the Rings. So that's just kind of how I feel about that stuff.
Yeah. And we've looped back around on Lord of the Rings, so I got to ask, which race would you belong to if you were living in Middle... an elf.
Yeah. Legolas is my favorite.
River elf or wood elf?
I'd be a wood elf.
Wood elf. Oh, okay, yeah. So you'd have your bow and arrow and everything going on?
Yeah, I would full... Yeah, the whole 9. Yeah, I would do everything. I don't know. I just... Something about it I've always liked. I've always been drawn to. I don't know why.
Hey, I mean, anything that lives that long,
I think it's what it is. I feel like that. Same with like vampires. Like I've always been like, this is sick. You live like to be like forever, and I don't know, there's something about it. I don't know why.
Hey, I mean, there's nothing. That's like one of the first wishes people make when they have a genie is to live forever.
Yeah.
It's like money, lifelong. You're to live forever and looks.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's
yeah.
That's yeah, I definitely would be an elf for sure, 100%.
I'd probably be an elf who is like best friends with hobbits because I love food. So.
Yeah, hobbits. That's the one part about like, well, it's more so Frodo. I think that's the only gripe I have with a lot of the film is Frodo just bothers me throughout the whole movie, and the more I watch it, the more I'm just so annoyed with him. Yeah, I would, but yeah, hobbits do eat a lot, so that's honestly not. It's not a bad, but a bad alliance to have, if you will.
Exactly. And plus, I mean, hobbits aren't going to betray you. They're chill. They just want to have their fireworks and their food, and
they're simple, down to earth people.
Exactly,
I can agree with that.
Exactly.
I can agree with that.
So, but you've mentioned Lord of the Rings. You've mentioned Batman. You've mentioned your video games. What is your just top fandom of all of the nerdy things? What's the top one?
I always ebb and flow with that, I would say. I still think I always have a big place for like comics. So like Marvel Comics is I think a big thing for me. Always been, you know, growing up just in the 90s watching like the X-Men TV show, watching Spider-Man, and then reading comics and getting like into the whole stories and the different kind of presentations of it all. So I think I would say comics are probably the biggest like fandom thing that I have. But I don't, like I said, I kind of ebb and flow with all that stuff. I'll be at moments where I'm reading a lot of comics. There's moments I'm playing a lot of video games. There's moments that I watch a lot of movies. I think it just kind of changes, and I think maybe because of the fact that our life is different on the road, or you know, kind of being back and forth, it's kind of hard to have the same like routine every day. So on the road, maybe I might get caught up reading more comics. I mean, this time around I'm playing more video games, but on the road, I'll read, generally speaking, read more comics. When I'm home, I get to watch more movies. So I think it's always kind of changing, which is nice. So I don't know what is like my top thing, but there is main things that I kind of go back to. But yeah, as far as like comics, that's probably up there consistently. And then like, I don't know, movies. Yeah, like Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite movies. it used to be Star Wars, but I kind of like got out of Star Wars for some reason. I think I started, I don't know.
Probably the reboots.
No, the later movies I really didn't enjoy. A lot. I think that once it became homogenized with Disney, I started like kind of losing interest in it. Yeah, and the same with like the Marvel movies. I've also never liked the Marvel movies, just because they told the wrong story. Yeah, but reading comics I think is something that's I've always, as far as like the nerdiest thing that I'm into is probably that. Yeah.
And I feel like the movies, because they try so hard to appeal to such a broad audience, they lose a lot of the grit, which I think is why I really like that new Batman, because it brought in a lot of the grit, and it definitely showed just how unhinged somebody would become being Batman.
Yeah,
so.
I think Marvel is based off of, because of Disney is trying to appeal to as many people as possible. So you have to water it down or water the story down or make the story reach everyone, which I think doesn't do the story justice. Whereas I think some DC films are more about telling the story, and I think displaying it better. They usually have also, I think, in my opinion, better like directors and stuff like that. So it kind of, the story gets told a lot better. But yeah, I mean, that's I never really get into the movies of comic book stuff just because it's really hard to be displayed accurately. I think the reason why Batman, in my opinion, gets displayed accurately is because it's not a character with like superpowers. So it's like it doesn't get to be really like gimmicky and like kind of
convoluted.
Yeah, and like it's really hard to display that like accurately, and it's like, so I feel like it's easy for it without any sort of like gimmicky, superpower or ability. It's kind of hard to display that without it being kind of corny. So with Batman, I feel like it's able to tell the darker story. So just happens to be a guy that's in comics, So
yeah, and that's one thing, honestly. So throughout this, it's very apparent that the story is super important to you, and that translates straight into your music. You guys tell such an immersive story, especially on this album, that is just, one of those stories that breaks your heart from beginning to end. Immersive stories are very, very important to you, and I like how it all ties together with everything that you do. It's like you want that full story in the comic books, you want the story in your games, and you put the story into your music. Especially, like I was just telling our lovely camera guy how immersive the D side is on your vinyl. Like those 3 songs, it just destroys your soul with how immersive it is.
I mean, I think it's the reason why I think anyone gets lost in like an entertainment, whether it be a music, movie, video game, like comic, a book, like any sort of form of entertainment. You want it to be super immersive, because I think a lot of times people are going to those things to escape the real world. And I think if your story is not convincing enough or powerful enough, your people are going to lose interest. So I think, especially since the world for many people is very unbearable, or it's kind of shitty at times, like that's the reason why you kind of turn to those things. And if your story or what you're presenting is not as strong and captivating as what you're going up against, you kind of need to have an immersive story. So that's kind of, I think, what I've always leaned on. Why, like, if it's a story that I don't really care about, if it's a TV show that's kind of like the reason why I kind of get turned off on it is because it's not capturing me enough to kind of take me out of what I'm trying to avoid, So I think that's maybe psychologically why I enjoy immersive stories. It just kind of takes you, many people go to those things to escape. You're not really going to those things for like science and like, let's see like what happens here. It's more so to kind of, separate yourself from the world, and you want it to be something that you can get lost in.
Yeah, definitely. And I completely agree with you. I mean, you, during our last chat, you saw the bookcase behind me. Yeah. So immersive stories are definitely like, none of that is science. It's all fiction. Yeah, exactly. Everything is fiction on that book, on that bookcase. So the immersive stories, it's definitely why I appreciate your music. That and the orchestration that you bring in, it doesn't feel gimmicky. It adds to the emotion. It creates this like soaring atmosphere that really carries you through the story. And I love it.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
But since I already asked you your favorite dinosaur question, now I got to ask you, to wrap this up, what is your biggest guilty pleasure song?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna give like a long-winded answer because I don't believe in guilty pleasures.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't think a song should be a guilty pleasure. I think own what you like, but I will give an answer based off of like what others would consider to be a guilty pleasure. So I got to figure that out first. But yeah, as far as the definition, I don't really think anyone should be feel guilty about what they listen to.
I like that. I will no longer feel guilty for loving the Mortal Kombat theme song and using that when I wake up.
No, you shouldn't. There's one day I listened to the Rocky IV soundtrack one day, and I just thought it was great. But yeah, I don't think I feel guilty about it. There's, whether it be listening to pop music or something that is so far left field from what you generally listen to. Like if it catches your interest, it catches your interest, and feeling shameful about it doesn't make any sense, because obviously you enjoy it, so why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
I will continue to rock out to the Mortal Kombat theme.
Exactly.
Original 1995 version.
Right. What would be considered a guilty pleasure of mine? I don't even know. I'm very forward and open about what I listen to. So, I mean, I love all the cheesy 80s hits, like the one-hit wonders. I love like I grew up on like boy bands, so like loved like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, all of that. Still listen to the songs. Justin Timberlake was like my biggest idol. I'm trying to think what would be considered a guilty pleasure that I listen to.
Aqua?
Huh?
Aqua?
Oh, I do like that. Is a good song, but like that was a but I don't really feel guilty. Listen, I'm trying to think. There's definitely something more guilty than that. I don't even know, because I don't feel guilty about it, so it's kind of hard to answer that question. I
can ask a new one.
Okay, cool.
Because we already know we love you love your 80s music and your pop hits and your NSYNC and your Backstreet Boys. Okay, what is your favorite food to pick out on when you're on the road? Gas station nachos is mine.
Oh, that's a bad. I would never suggest. That's a bad move.
It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, like as someone with a little bit of experience, I would avoid that. I guess it depends. No, again, long-winded answer. I can't give a straight answer. A lot of it is geolocation. So like, there's certain places that I look forward to based off of where we are. So there's I love getting certain establishments that exist in certain parts of the country. Like I can't get Raising Cane's chicken everywhere, so when we're in a place like Texas or in certain places that have it, I look forward to that. I love getting In-N-Out Burger because we don't have it by us. Whataburger because we don't have it by us either.
What about Oregon? What did you look forward to coming back here?
Voodoo Donuts.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, Voodoo Donuts.
What's your favorite Voodoo Donut?
Oh, it's the one has Oreo and like peanut butter on it. There's a name.
Old Dirty Bastard.
Yeah, that's it. That's my favorite one.
I know my donuts.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. That one is like, I always get that one. There's other ones that I really like, but sometimes it's like too much. Like there was I think it was like the Memphis Mafia one.
That one's my favorite.
It's like a really big like apple
banana fritter.
Yeah, it's a
peanut
lot.
Butter.
Yeah, but the Old Dirty Bastard is probably my favorite. It's my go-to. I get it every time. If I end up getting it today, I'm most likely gonna.
I support you.
I'm most likely going to get that. You know, if I had to pick one donut there, it's always that. But yeah, for me, like, it depends. Like, I don't really get pizza on the road because we have the best at home, so I don't really do that. I found myself not picking out as much on this tour just because, like, you feel like crap, and I gotta, like, it's a long day, so I don't really pick out as often as I used to. But I feel like for me, it's probably my biggest culprit is stopping at gas station and getting a lot of like snacks and like candy. And generally speaking on this tour, because whenever we do, I'm asleep, so I've been avoiding that. But yeah, usually it's like I'm always like a culprit of like getting like some sort of like gummy candy, like a chocolate, usually like a Reese's, a bag of chips, and some sort of like sugary drink. That's like usually like the big four of I have to make sure I have the gummy candy, a chocolate, a salt candy. Not salt candy, like
a salty snack.
Yeah, like like chips. Generally speaking, is and then some sort of like eclectic drink to like round it off. That's my big consistent like habit that I don't do at home. I really don't ever do that at home. Yeah, so it's usually like falling into the trap of that, more or less.
Yeah,
I would say that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I mean, that's kind of. I just eat like crap normally, so you're doing better than me already.
I mean, I think my eating habits have adjusted because I don't know. We used to, when we go on tour, I would just like let loose. It's like a kid in a candy store. You can just eat whatever you want, whenever you want. I mean, you could do that anyway, but I was less likely to do it at home. I'm a little more disciplined.
Yeah.
So I got kind of carried away with a lot of that. But yeah, this tour, haven't really been having a lot of snacks.
Yeah.
At least a lot of like stopping at a gas station and being like stuck there for like 30 minutes with like analysis paralysis because you're like, I have all these options. Like, what is the best option? And I never know what the best option is. So
Sour Patch Kids.
usually that's a good guess, but I'm like, always get that. And then I try to find some other like candy.
Tropical Sour Patch Kids.
I didn't like them that much, to be honest.
Oh.
Yeah, I like tropical flavored stuff. For some reason, I'm not really a fan of that, ironically enough. But I do love classic Sour Patch Kids. The watermelon Sour Patch Kids are really good. Big fan of the assortment of Skittles. Those are good. Those are good
Can't
candy.
go wrong with Skittles.
But I'm also a big fan of all the pastry aisle of stuff, like a honey bun, cosmic brownie, zebra cake.
Cosmic brownies are nostalgic.
Yeah, they're classic. Someone brought us a box of them, and I was like excited because like I didn't have to buy it myself. So someone just gifted us a box of them, and I was like, this is sick. This is nice to like have it, and those are classic.
Nice.
Yeah, I love baked goods. That's like one of my favorite things. Like that's like if anyone wanted to like really like win me over, or like be like, you're on tour, what do you want me to bring you? That is the first thing, baked goods. Like I don't need alcohol, I don't need anything else. Like baked goods, like that will someone like making it and spending time and putting it together. Like I love that. That's my favorite thing.
Well, next time you're in town, I will bring you brownies because I used to work as a baker.
Oh,
so
perfect.
I make some bomb brownies. They are gooey and just
that's
they're
perfect.
fantastic.
It's my favorite thing when like someone brings us brownies or like someone today just brought some cookies, and I'm gonna like definitely get involved in that.
Okay.
I'm gonna participate.
I'm gonna participate in the cookies.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna participate. But yeah, definitely that's like if I'm gonna pig out on something, it's always some sort of like baked sugary goods. Yeah, not really like food as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bad sweet tooth. I have a bad sweet tooth.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all? Well, I will not take up all of your time because I hear, Tale, that there are cookies you need to get involved with. And you probably need a moment to download before your set and everything else.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate you taking all the time to chat with us today. It was great talking to you again.
I appreciate that.
And hanging out with you again. And when you guys are in town, I promise to bring you brownies.
Perfect. It'll be always appreciated for brownies.
Yes. But thank you so much. And everybody watching this, go buy their new album if you haven't already, because if you haven't, then you're doing something horribly wrong with your life. Go check out Pain Remains. Buy it on vinyl if you can find a copy. And that is it.
And bring me brownies.
And bring him brownies.
Or some sort of cheesecake.
Or cookies. Or cake.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.